This week in PlayStation, we're talking about a Horizon MMO, The Last of Us factions being free to play, and of course that gorgeous God of War Ragnarok Platinum. We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Greg. That's Blessing. And of course, you can get PS I Love You XOXO on patreon.com/KindaFunny. Over on patreon.com/KindaFunny, you can watch us record the show live, just like Keegan is, Madeline is, and the Lou are. Of course, you could also get it ad-free, and you could get 38 episodes a month of beautiful bonus exclusive content, all on patreon.com/KindaFunny. If you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. You can support us for free on the Epic Game Store, Fortnite, Rocket League, and Fall Guys with the creator code KindaFunny. If you're using one of them PCs they're using on the Epic, you put it in there. But if you're playing Fortnite, you're playing Rumbleverse, you're playing anything on your PlayStation that uses the Epic Store, please pop in KindaFunny. It helps us out and doesn't cost you anything else. You can get PS I Love You XOXO for free with ads and without the post show on youtube.com/KindaFunny games and podcast services around the globe each and every Friday morning. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Morgan Lorraine, Fargo Brady, Christopher Rodriguez, the KindaFunny Destiny 2 PC Clan, Tall Tree 81, Joseph A. Carlson, One Up Pest Control, Carrie Palmer, Elliot, Brian Cheney, Trevor Starkey, Super Daddy Kyle, Undertopian, David Mintel, the Mind Freak, Eric Velasquez, Scotty Wyatt, Scotty Wyatt, Alex Gretel, Al Tribesman, Predator. Well, he's the Predator. He's not a Predator. Jason L, James Davis, aka at James Davis Makes, Mick at Dananobiologist, Abramson, Ryan T from Tennessee, Derek Gregg, and Donald Eccles. I want to go back. Mm-hmm. You have to tell me, did I knock Eric Velasquez out of the park? I feel like I got there on that one, and it's one that I know Andy corrected Tim on, and then I've seen people on the subreddit be like, Tim's alternating getting it right, getting it wrong. I want to make sure we're getting it right.
It's a lot
there
to read the names back to back.
Oh, 100%. No, I'm not. I'm not throwing shade at Tim at all. I want to make sure that I got there and I got in my own head about it, which is the worst way to do it. Velasquez, Eric Velasquez.
I assume when I see that name, I say Velasquez.
And you would have corrected me if I got it wrong.
I would have let it slide. It's a lot of names. I can correct you for every single one of these names. I
understand.
As long as we nail the mind free.
Derek Gareg is the other one that gets me every time.
Alex Greedle is the one that gets me, where every single time I say it, I'm like, I feel like I'm messing that up. But I don't see Alex Greedle in my DMs just being like, yo, do it this way, not that way. And so I just keep rolling with it, hoping nobody says anything.
But also, maybe these kids are too polite.
My DMs are, who knows?
We didn't know that we were
brought to you by Factor, MeUndies, and Shady Rays. But let's start with a PSN message from you. That's right, of course, ladies and gentlemen. You can write in at kindafunny.com/PSILY for free to ask us questions about anything going on in the PlayStation world, but also give us the percolating thought starters that we call the PSN message. J Maz writes in this week and says, what character feels the best to control for you personally? Now, Bless, when I saw this in the mailbag, I was like, what is this? Was he asking this from like, then he goes in to describe more of it. Because I was like, is he referencing a specific game? Because obviously we had so many different questions in there jammed up. It was all God of War stuff for a long time. And then this one was there. And I was like, what is he is this about? What game is he? Oh, and then it goes in like this. I recently realized the type of characters I personally love controlling in games. Quick, agile characters with less button mashy inputs that also allow for aggressive play styles. Characters like the Hunter from Bloodborne, the Tarnished from Elden Ring, Spider-Man, Aloy. I assume this is Aloy. You're not even looking at it. He says Al-Yo. I assume that's Aloy. There's a mistypo, but I do like Al-Yo as Aloy's like Shadow Realm counterpart to come find him.
Well, I want to Google and see if there's any Aloys out there.
And Sifu.
Because like, is Aloy that great to control?
No.
I like controlling Aloy, but she doesn't pop into mind.
Are a few of my favorites. The one character that always comes to mind in regards of the feel of controlling them is Celine from Returnal. Everything about the dash, movement, shooting, and haptics just lend to an amazing feeling. Who do you love controlling? This is a great question. Barrett complimented it before the show as well, and I have to agree, J-Maz. Good job.
Yeah, this is a great question.
/PSILY. Are we sponsored by the fog today? I feel like we're using it a lot. I feel like the fog's coming into play quite more than usual.
This is the thing that comes to mind a lot for me with video games, because I do love a game that lets you really take control in terms of being agile and like doing the exact thing you want when you want to do it, right? And for me, the game that immediately comes to mind when you ask me what character feels the best to control is Spider-Man. I love navigating New York City. I love the I think the web swing, and I think this was evident for everybody upon your first time picking up Spider-Man 2018. As soon as you hold R2, right, and get that web swing going, it is, oh, this feels exactly right. This feels exactly the way. It feels
natural. This is what it should be.
It feels natural. It, like, you get into the acrobatics of it, and you're like, wow, this game really makes me feel like Spider-Man. And I know it's like a joke to throw around there in terms of how people talk about games, but that game does let you really
100%.
feel like Spider-Man. The wall running feels great in that game. I think that, for me, is for sure a game that sticks out to me. And then for a recent example, I really liked controlling Sonic in Sonic Frontiers.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
And I think that's partly with the design of the world, right? Like, we make fun of the rails being thrown everywhere, but being able to at any moment's notice go, all right, there's a rail, or no, there's a boost pad, or there's this thing that I can go to that'll then help me pick up my speed and then send me down this path of going down these different obstacles. I think that's a very satisfying way to play, and it's a very satisfying game to control. Is there a game that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, what's interesting about me, of course, is that I got into video games because of licensed IP, and I feel like now is the time of licensed IP, so I'm right at home with everything, right? Spider-Man, I thought of but moved away from, not because I don't love being in New York, not because I don't like being Spider-Man, not anything like that, but I think when I think of like, man, this just feels so good to be this character, I think of Batman, and I think of the Arkham games. And I know that like over the years, and especially as we came off Gotham Knights, there was some, more smack talk on how Arkham controlled than there was when it was actually happening. But I still feel that free flow combat style of Batman in those giant, you're surrounded, everybody's coming to fight you brawls, made me, like, to your point, feel like Batman. I did feel like a badass. I felt like I was learning, I understood, I'm reversing, I'm doing it. I remember actually doing, new game pluses and playing on the hardest difficulty with nothing above the crooks' heads, right, to show you were about to get attacked. That always felt good to me. In the same breath, I would throw out Infamous. I would throw out Cole. Like, I know, obviously, for the original, the big joke was, of course, that he couldn't climb chain link fences. He can climb everything else in Empire City but chain link fences. But still, jumping on top of, like in 2 especially, or no, in 1 for the power lines, jumping on power lines and power skating across those, leveling yourself up to where you could do the levitation off of things and come down. And then also the way you bounce between your electricity powers and zap things. Like, I always thought Cole felt really good. And it's definitely felt good at the time when I'm playing this on PlayStation 3, right? Before you had Spider-Man, Batman, all these other superhero games that really did come out and feel completely different now. But it is still that thing that was a joy to play. And even when we just touched it on stream last year for a bit, I thought it still felt good to be Cole. Even if the environment definitely felt smaller and all these different things, it was still fun to do that. But that's what I kind of expect from Sucker Punch, because I would go as far to say Cole felt great in Infamous 1 and 2. Like it or not like it, or it was a fine game. Second Son, right? Delsin Rowe felt really fun to control, I thought, in that one. And then you can get to Jin Sakai, obviously, in Ghost of Tsushima, who I also thought felt
That's another
awesome.
one that I was thinking about just now, where, like, yeah, that's a game where it feels great to even call your horse. I feel like horses are such a tricky thing in video games. Like, usually, any video game with a horse, I feel like, is a contender for Game of the Year, right? Like,
It's just a fun way to get around,
Elden Ring,
right?
Witcher 3. Like, any game that is a Game of the Year contender got a horse in it. The Last of Us Part 2. But I think in navigation, oftentimes horses can feel a bit cumbersome, and Ghost of Tsushima said, fuck it, we're a video game. And so, like, if you're running and I forget what button it was, I think it might have been a touchpad swipe or a D-pad thing. Once you call your horse, boom, immediately running alongside you hop on it, and it's smooth, right? You don't even break any sort of animation.
And see, I think this is, for me, to answer the question in a more general way for J-Maz, right? For me, it is that smooth. It is that natural. It is like it's the actions are flowing into each other. It's not, and not to just bag on a different Batman game, but Gotham Knights, where, to start that game and be playing that game and be Batgirl and be like doing this weird one-armed web sling thing trying to get up off the ground, and it felt herky-jerky, right? It felt like you'd get going and stop, and there'd be like this whiplash to what you were doing. And to an extent, like, I feel like I'd also turn in it, don't get me wrong, we're going to talk about God of War Ragnarok here on launch week and how much we adore that game and how we think it's a masterpiece. But it is that thing that Kratos is a heavy character. Like, and I think that's what the story they want to tell, and that's the character they want to portray. So when I am Kratos, right, in that game, or even in 2018, boom, you feel like a linebacker. You feel like this big character. And sure, he runs. And yes, in God of War Ragnarok, right, we're using the blades to scale up to different things and move. But it doesn't feel fluid to me. It does feel like he's making a full stop sometimes, losing his momentum, and then going up and doing it. Which, again, I think is by design because they want you to feel like this heavy God of War.
Yeah. I want to point out, too, that like quite a few of the games that we mentioned here are superhero games.
Yeah.
And that might be, honestly, when you were talking about the key to making a great superhero game, movement and like what that controller feel is might be one of the big key factors. Because you mentioned Spider-Man, we mentioned Infamous, we mentioned Batman, right? And if you want to, I think, nail being a superhero, you got to nail the feeling of moving through the world, but then also like combat that makes you feel overpowered without actually being overpowered in the world.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing to shout out.
That's why people love Superman 64, right, Greg?
Exactly.
The rings. Definitely the rings.
Two, I want to shout out because, I feel like this developer gets a lot of crap for how their games feel, but Nathan Drake from Uncharted 4 and then Ellie in Last of Us Part 2.
I like being Nathan Drake, and I know a lot of people don't necessarily like being Nathan Drake because of how it is to climb or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I like being Nathan Drake, but I would contend that, Last of Us Part 2's combat and traversal and everything else felt fluid. It felt natural, and it felt like it all ran together of like, being Ellie and being stealthy. I hope they bring that to Factions.
I think for Uncharted 4, the reason why it sticks out to me, maybe not because he feels great, but I feel like in Uncharted 4, they knew how to design for his gameplay feel, and then adding the hook shot thing where you can swing around and stuff and like go into a punch, go into...
God, I love a good hook shot.
Yeah, it's so good.
Speaking of which, Doom, like a shout out to Doom for the way that game controls.
Sure.
Doom Eternal, even with
another game where it all flows into each other.
Yeah,
what
another
you're trying
game
to do.
that flows. Another game, I think for me, along with the fluidity that you're talking about, is also like what actions are allowed and like what are the gears that are turning in your head, in your mind, in terms of the like where you want to go with your actions? Because Doom comes into mind for that. Games like Solar Ash and The Pathless come to mind for that. I want to shout out Sekiro because that's another one that I think has excellent movement. Even just like running through the world in Sekiro feels great. Let alone like hopping from a cliff onto an enemy and like how all that kind of flows together. I think that stuff feels great. But then going back to the action side of it, Tony Hawk and how like oh yeah, I see a rail, I see a ramp, I see like a thing that I want to do, and then immediately going there and pulling it off and allowing your different actions to string together in a way that feels satisfying, in a way that feels your own. I think that's the thing that really adds to the movement thing, to the feel thing of it. And like this is a non-PlayStation game that I'm about to shout out, but like, boo! Mario Odyssey for me is one of the best controlling games I've ever played. In that same way of seeing a platform that I want to get to, throwing Cappy, like pressing A to jump, then diving toward Cappy, bouncing off of Cappy, then doing another dive. Like those types of movements and those types of actions are for me like, oh man, I can do this all day. I think that's why I gravitate towards skating games and like superhero games and games that allow that kind of thing. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Frontiers is out right now.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
That you love like
a
5
great 3 out of 5.
A great 3 out of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for topic of the show. Tots. First off, by the way, Janet offed it this week. If you didn't know, we didn't say anything, but we assume you know. Janet Garcia usually here. Instead, I believe she is in Michigan. Is that right?
I don't know.
No, she's in Buffalo. She's in Buffalo. There's a wedding going on. I know, not hers.
You're just gonna tell all her secrets? What else? What else?
She's posting about all this on Instagram.
Oh, is she? Okay, I didn't know.
I saw her at Duff's Wings.
But did you triple check that she wasn't just sending that to her friend circle?
It's true. That's true.
Yeah, I'm positive.
All right.
Let me check. I'll check right now.
We're just getting in your head.
I thought Janet told me all this in confidence.
You know what? Why would she be hiding that she's going to a wedding? You know what I mean? What's the big deal?
Maybe they're eloping.
Well, I mean, that would still be a surprise to me. Nothing would have changed. Nothing, you know what I mean?
Secret wedding,
Let's see. We got a public Janet Garcia story. Yeah, she's got a bacon, egg, and cheese, Buffalo waterfront, just pizza and wing. Now, I appreciate this, all right? Mm-hmm. Hold on. She has this one up here that says, just pizza and wing co. And it is the photo of the pizza.
Detroit style. Is it?
No, it's just a slice of pizza.
Oh, never mind. From this angle, it looked like it was Detroit.
Sure it did. But what happens is, I want you to know, when she was at another pizza place, she put up the menu, and I said, please send pics. To which she responded, oh no, I ate it already. Won't make this mistake again. And she didn't. So there you go, Janet. I'm not going to message you, but I see you. I appreciate you. Thank you for putting up the photo of the pizza there. That blessing miscontributed as Detroit style. I digress, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for topic of the show, and what we're talking about is the God of War Ragnarok Platinum worth it? As you all know, my name's Greg Miller, and I'm a trophy whore, and I love getting platinums, and I will usually buy them sometime. Not usually. I was on the ZJ the Ball train. Janet and Blessing guilted me into not doing them anymore. I deleted all my ZJs the Balls.
Then
infamously, I did fall off the wagon recently, all the Platy Birds. You understand?
No, I don't. I don't.
It's just good jump food.
How are you going to look at me and say you understand?
Well, first off, did you like Flappy Bird? And don't fucking lie.
I like Flappy Bird.
Exactly.
Fine. Yeah.
So now you're telling me there's a Flappy Bird clone on PlayStation that I can buy 7 or 8 times, 19 times, and get a platinum trophy real easy? Well, hell yeah, I'm going to do that.
I feel like you're taking us to A to B to C in ways that don't connect to
It
each
doesn't
other.
matter. What you need to know, of course, is that I adored getting the God of War 2018 Platinum Trophy. And one of the things we didn't talk about too much in our review and FAQ were the trophies for God of War Ragnarok. And everybody calm down. Calm down. We will not be spoiling anything from God of War Ragnarok. We will not be going into this. I will vague it up in terms of there being collectibles in some of these trophies that I'm working on right now. Even if I said what those collectibles were, I don't think they're spoilers, but I won't get into it because everybody's definition of a spoiler is a bit different. But I thought we would check in and actually talk about this, Blessing, because you agree God of War Ragnarok, a 5 out of 5 game.
Yeah.
You and I have adored our time with it. You have stopped. You beat the story. Then you moved right on to Sonic, of course, because you had to go over there and play and review Sonic.
Yes.
And then I'm right now, I beat the story and just got to continue because my next review code is imminent. It should be here today. And then I'll have to stop playing God of War for a while. What is your plan? I know you are not a trophy person. We've talked about this many times on this show. Your platinums are few and far between when they're not hidden from me. Are you going to go back to God of War Ragnarok to trophy hunt, to side quest? What is your post-credit plan?
I don't think I'm gonna go back anytime soon. I definitely have zero plans of platinuming it.
Sure.
I don't have any plans of completion. I don't really have any plans of collectathon stuff. I think the one thing that might bring me back to God of War Ragnarok is to clear out story-related side quest stuff, because from talking to different folks, talking to Janet, seeing Janet tweeting, talking to you and plenty of people that have beaten the game now, it seems like there's still pretty good story content out there,
Dude.
even past the mainline story.
I am, like, I told you and Barrett in coded message, and I'll tell everybody here in coded message too, of just like, I was off just doing a side quest today because I'm doing the platinum run, right? So I'm going through and doing all the things and collecting all the stuff. And I was like, okay, this side quest is there, so I'm going to do it. I go and do it, and there's very much a thing of like, oh, okay. And then you get to the end, and I was like, wow, this is, in a good way, what I think, and this, I'm going to spoil Spider-Man DLC, right? Spider-Man's DLC, where all of a sudden Yuri, who was your friend in the cop in the main game, in the end of the DLC, right, kind of turns her back on being a cop and like goes bad. Like, and we're all like, that's a weird character turn or whatever. Here, it's one of those similar things where I think when you pick up Spider-Man 2, a lot of people are going to be like, where's Yuri? You're like, oh, you didn't play the DLC. Let me explain. This is one of like, oh man, one of the character threads you would have thought was closed, they open and reclose here in a way, or leave open again, I guess. Like,
Interesting.
The fate of somebody that I thought I knew dead to rights was like, oh no, this is something different now. Okay, cool. And it's well done in a way that isn't like super, it isn't weird and out of left field like Yuri. I would say, and I know nobody cares but me, it isn't weird like in Marvel's Avengers when they introduced Loki through him being Thor's duplicate, but Thor didn't know about it, and then it was so a very weird way to...
What? Wait, Marvel's Avengers, the video game?
Yeah.
Loki is a clone of Thor?
Well, no. So like in Marvel's Avengers, the hit game from Crystal Dynamics, available now, probably in the bargain bin everywhere else, right? There's a mission after or maybe it's just a side mission, but it doesn't matter. And it basically, or it's like Thor's iconic quest. And basically what's happened, because everybody has like an iconic quest to get some armor or whatever. And in it, there's somebody impersonating Thor. And Thor's like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like they keep, it's always one step in front of them kind of thing. And then eventually they confront the guy and he gets away, but it was Loki. But like, Thor doesn't realize this in the moment, which would be if I had a mischievous god brother who's like known for mischief and can shapeshift, I'd be like, there's another Thor. Oh, fucking Loki. You know what I mean? God damn. There's another Greg running around. Ah, fucking Loki. But he didn't get that. So it's a weird one of like, we know Thor and Loki so well from the MCU and comic books that you'd be like, how did you not know this? How is this your first, whatever, it doesn't matter. And they've never come back to it, of course, because that game's doing
It's Marvel's
it's
Avengers.
doing its thing
But,
over
like,
there. We'll see whatever happens. Bucky Barnes is
the
coming
way you're
to
talking about this is bringing me to in God of War Ragnarok. There's story stuff that's mentioned in like mainline stuff that is like, hey, yeah, and this Kratos and Atreus being like, hey, yeah, like we did this, and this, and this. That was stuff that was like side stuff in the original game, side stuff that I didn't finish.
I was talking to of course, no spoilers, everybody, don't worry. I was talking on our stream yesterday about this, where early on in the first 2 hours, because that's all we streamed yesterday, you're confronted by somebody and they bring up like something that I did to platinum God of War 2018, but if you didn't platinum, you didn't do. And so the chat was like, wait, is this reading your trophies? Is this that's kind of, I'm like, no, what me and Barrett had come down in our headcanon was that whether you just rolled credits on God of War 2018, whether you got halfway through and put it down, or whether you platinumed it, Kratos and Atreus, their canonical stories, they did everything in that game.
Yeah.
They did everything in that game. So they're going to reference that, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, and I think that's the way you should do it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that led to cool moments in God of War Ragnarok. But yeah, like for that reason, I would like to go back and do the story stuff that's in the side stuff. I'm either going to do that, or I'll just end up listening to people talk about it in Spoilercast on podcasts. It's going to be either or. But yeah, as of now, I don't really have big plans to go back and clear out all of God of War Ragnarok. And that's not on God of War Ragnarok. That is more on me of like, I'm just not a completionist kind of gamer.
It's also, this is always the conversation of how much time you have and what's going on in your life at that moment.
For sure.
Right? Where I have every intention, as we're talking about the God of War Platinum, to do it right now. If you want a Platinum check right now for Greg, of course, you can always keep up with me at psnprofiles.com/GameOverGreggy. But right now, I'm 21 of 36 trophies done, which, as you know, doesn't sound like a lot necessarily because there's still a lot to do. But keep in mind that a lot of these are like collect 8 blank, do 12 of the blank 12 of these. And so like on the 8 one, I think I'm at like number 7. At the 12 one, I'm at like number 10. So it's like, a lot of the work has been put in on all of these where it's just where I need to go collect the final things and it'll pop and it'll be done or whatever. So that said, it's hit me at a great spot in my life right now where it's like, cool, I'm all set to do is where I can work on this until the next trophy runs around, right? Get off that, Barrett. It's revealing stuff at the top.
Shit, sorry.
I don't think it said anything that important there, but you're free to rewind. And if so, don't look at the top of the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, though, right now I'm doing that, but then the new review code comes tomorrow. And so when do I get back to God of War's Platinum thing? The thing is, I definitely think I will. And I think I will even more than I think I'll get back to Horizon. Because if you remember, Horizon hit at such a bad time of like, here it is, huge game. We had to mainline that, golden path that, and then step away for like 4 more reviews in a row. And I haven't, even in a few times where there's like a week of downtime, I haven't made the time to go back to actually Platinum Horizon Forbidden West. Like I did with Zero Dawn, which I want to go do, and I want to get back to it. But it's like, I don't feel that one scratching at me the way I feel Ragnarok because, and I asked you, of course, you can always write in, of course, as you know, kindafunny.com/PSILY to be part of the show. I just tweeted it out today to ask what's going on. Are you going to platinum it? What's your thing going on? I put up a poll, which I thought was interesting. Said, are you going to platinum God of War Ragnarok? 61.9% of respondents said yes, they were going to do this. 38.1% said no. However, when I wanted people to, go a little bit into more depth about why or why not, what's going on, what's going to do this, Cody Peters wrote in and said, as to why I'm chasing the platinum, everything trophy-wise so far leads to upgrades or fantastic side story beats that flush out the characters even more. And then he says one that's here with an IE that I won't read out aloud anyways. But yes, that is my thing about this, where I loved 2018's trophy list as well, right? I had a great time with it. I remember having fun with it. I remember the Ravens being difficult, and this is obviously before when we were reviewing it before we had guides and stuff like that. But even also, I remember the fact of playing through that game and not having looked at the trophy list, and then when I finally discovered Ravens, being like, oh, have these been here the whole time? They were that well hidden. I think Ragnarok does a great job of putting them out more in front. I feel like it's like 45 maybe, something like
48.
that. 48.
And I feel like even in a story playthrough, I feel like I got like 35 or something.
And that's what I'm saying. Like right now, like without looking at anything, I'm like 39 in, which I'm like, damn, I feel great about that, which I think is another note they probably took from the last one of like, make it a bit easier. But easy is one way to put it. Another would be, I would say, is just discoverable. Make them discoverable. In the same way Cody points out, the upgrades and the fantastic side story beats. Again, today playing out there, I was like, oh, a side mission. I went into it and I engaged with it, and that naturally led me to an awesome side mission and ending where I keep hinting around to you all what I said and what was happening. But more importantly, I did run into collectibles. I did run into a chest. I did get another one of the mead horns to, upgrade my health or whatever. Like, I didn't go there looking for those things. I went there for the quest and the amazing part of it, and I was able to find that and then this edition stuff. Like, they have done, I think, an even better job than 2018 at weaving it all together. Where I'm going off into these somewhat open environments. Come here, Mikey. Thank you. How you doing? How's the XCast? Yeah, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike from the XCast.
Hi, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
You want to talk about trophies? Watch that Let's Play me and Mike did, where I'm playing on his profile. Suddenly I'm popping trophies he should have gotten so easily. But I mean, like, beat the first story thing. This kid didn't have it for some reason. Nobody can explain it.
Hold on.
So, yeah,
is he lying? Mike hasn't played God of War Ragnarok, is what I'm hearing.
Count was offline.
Say to the mic. Say to the mic.
Here's the deal, he says as he stomps back
really
in.
quick. Roger Picorni had the audacity to look at me and go, I had to question, did Mike even play God of War after I gave him a 30-minute spiel of what happened beat for beat on
But
the
you're
first
such a
2 hours of
good
the game?
bullshitter,
And then he
Yeah.
goes, did Mike even play the game? How would I know beat for beat, Bless? What happened in the game?
Maybe you listen to me talk about the game,
Yeah.
You guys are wrong.
Okay, also to pull out a quote that he once said to Roger, I love lying to you. Okay,
He did say
he
that.
did say
He
that.
did say
I
that.
heard
We
it.
were all there for that. We remember that. No, he did have a save file, so it was there. I think it was just the fact that he's been playing offline at home that didn't have it.
Can you tell me about the Ravens? Because, so
Sure, what about 'em?
They're
birds. Odin's eyes.
I know what the Ravens are, and I know about Odin's eyes. He's always watching. But when it comes to part of why I don't really care to complete games like this, right? 100%. It comes down to a lot of stuff that feels like busy work. Because when I look at the Ravens, I'm like, do I want to scour all the realms to look at every single corner of this game so I can find these Ravens so I can take them out just to say 100% of this thing? Is there a rhyme or reason?
So here's what I'd like to counter with and have this conversation. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a part of it. I would agree with you that in 2018, I do feel like it felt like busy work. Because not busy work, but it needed to be a Power Picks guide where I'm sitting there going like, all right, I'm short one in Vanaheim or whatever, right? Like, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? Have I done this one? Have I done that? Blah, blah, blah. I think they did a great job on the mini map, of course, when you're in the different zones, showing you how many of anything you have left to do. And that continues in Ragnarok. But what I would say I'm enjoying so much about Ragnarok is that, the question earlier was characters you love to control, right? That feel good moment to moment. And I do think Kratos feels good. What I think Sony Santa Monica and God of War, these last two have done, and this one in particular, is give you this toolbox of things to do when you play and make all of them fun. But this one does such a better job of, and stick with me, taking the Disneyland, Disney World approach. And I don't know how much you ever watched like Imagineers or any of that stuff on Disney Plus, right? But they talk about the way the park is like a bicycle wheel, like it's got spokes on it, right? Where anywhere you are, you can see the castle in the middle, and then you got paths to it, and you're doing all the cool stuff on the side, right? What this game, Ragnarok, I think does so well is you walk into a new environment, and it can be one of the big open ones, it can be a smaller one, and it immediately starts showing you there's a chest over there, there's a thing over there, there's the weird, gross, like, things you got to throw your axe through to get them to break down. And, like, there's all these different things it has set up that you walk in, and I literally go in and I'm like, it's like an amusement park. And, like, what do I want to do, and how do I want to tackle it? And I would put into Ragnarok the Ravens. Where in 2018, I was deep into that game before I think I organically found a Raven. And this is, 4 years ago. So like my head might be a little bit rusty on all that stuff. But I felt like lots of the Ravens were like, oh, do this thing, turn upside down, crank the camera. There's one, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like Ragnarok's like that. Ragnarok is, if you walk in and have the spoked amusement park look of it, I think you see them floating around and then it becomes the cool. So I've got to get up there, and then I think I have the clear shot to it. And then I get up there, and it's eye of the beholder what's fun in a video game. But I like these micro challenges, and to me, I would even call them micro puzzles, even though they're not the traditional puzzle of like, doing Sudoku or whatever. But you get up there, right? And it is the bird flying around, and it is like, I'm going to charge the axe. I threw it. Okay, I need to go up. I need to go down. I like that idea of like, all right, how do I figure out how they want me to get this bird and knock them down? And so I like that. That doesn't feel like busy work to me. And again, with the number I've knocked out this time around, I really do feel that inevitably when I get to, all right, cool, I've got 2 left. And because of the map being so good and telling me things, I know that it's in Muspelheim and I know one's in Midgard. Then it's like I find them on those individual things, and then it would be look at a guide if I don't want to wander around and figure it out. I don't feel it'll be as guidey as it was the first time in 2018, where it was like, all right, I'm short 30 or whatever it was. Like, I need to look through this over and over again. Right now, they've done a great job of, I'm on the quest for A, but on the way to A, I find a C, I find an F, there's all these other things that I'm checking off, which I think is really rewarding in a way that, again, like, they're building it all around going for the side mission, and not all around. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff you don't have to be on a side mission to find. But when I go on a side mission, I'm not just getting to the end of the side mission and getting the reward, which is what I needed. I'm usually picking up 2, 3, 4 things along the way.
Gotcha.
That are helping me.
So then what does the journey toward platinum look like, I guess, in terms of the major aspects of how you get to the platinum of God of War Ragnarok, obviously without spoiling anything. But you got the Ravens. I assume the platinum is going to involve doing all the side quests. I assume they're going to involve doing all the big chests that are, hey, you have these 3 runes. Can you find the 3 runes in the area? I assume that you're looking for those and doing those as well. Are there any other big major elements to the God of War Ragnarok?
It's all the stuff
platinum?
you would think about, right? Where, yeah, it's, collect this, collect all of these. I'm going off the ones I've unearned here, right? Collect this. Make sure, have your health and your rage maxed out by finding all the apples, finding all the meat.
I assume you're getting all the gear?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those where, how sometimes a trophy is. Like, one of the big questions I asked all of you was, are you going to platinum this game? And then, how are you going to tackle it? Obviously, there are so many people I know that when they start a video game, the first thing they do is go to the trophy list, look through everything, unhide every trophy. For me, in a game that I knew was going to be so important to me, like God of War Ragnarok, like, friend of the show, Andrew Goldfarb, was texting me questions about it. I'm like, dude, I haven't even looked yet. Like, I'm still playing the campaign and the story, and I'm assuming Sony Santa Monica's got the right stuff and isn't going to fuck up what they did in 2018. And they didn't. None of this is missable. None of this is like you only had one shot to get it. So you can go back after the fact. And so for me, it's always, I play through, I finish the game, and I shouldn't say every time, but like for a game like God of War, and then I go through and I look at what I have left. And so there's stuff on here, right? There was one of like, collect all the shields or whatever, which happened to me organically through the story. Like, I popped that one.
Yeah, there's not like a ton of shields.
Not trying, right? And so then you look in here, and there are ones of like, again, these aren't real spoilers, obviously. Fully upgrade 1 armor set, which I'm really close to right now. Again, it's one where I'm like, I think 2 or 3 very specific components away from getting that I'm getting as I play through and do all these things and open the hidden chests and yada, yada, yada.
And that feels similar. There was one in 2018, because I just recently platinumed that, where it was like you had to get specific armor sets in 2018. So that doesn't feel like too different from that.
And then you go on of like, there are collect this or craft this specific armor set, right? Fully repair the amulet, which again, I literally one thing away from right now. There is no collect all this stuff, but I am unversed right now. And if can I craft this armor they're talking about anytime once I finish that quest, or is it going to be like, oh, you need to have done all this stuff to then craft that armor? You know what I mean? Like sometimes games do that. I don't think that's how it'd be. I don't expect it to be that way, but it's possible it could be, right? And same thing here of like, obtain all the relics and all the sword hilts. Like, you know what I mean? There's like stuff like that of like, okay, cool, you're going through and getting that and picking it up and doing this, but where does that all shake out? It seems as approachable and, easygoing as the last one was. But I haven't finished it, ladies and gentlemen. What do I know, you might say? It's a great point, ladies and gentlemen. So I went to an expert. If you didn't know, there's a website called IGN.com. And over there, Simon Cardy, our friend and fellow Avengers nut, reviewed this game and has already platinumed it. So I said, hey, Simon, can you give me a video? Can you want to come on PS I Love You? And he's like, mate, it's the middle of the night here. I'm very tired. Can I do this later? And I said, well, no, but you could just send us a video rather than do that. And he said, and he sent us this.
Hello, it's Simon Cardy from IGN here. Reviewed the game, gave it a 10 out of 10. I've been woken up by Greg Miller to do a minute review of the Platinum for some reason. I've had to go out into my garden, into my shed, because everyone in my house is already asleep. Yeah, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but it took me 48 hours to get the Platinum. It was really fun. Some of the Ravens were hard to find. Thankfully, I had good old friend Andrew Goldfarb to help me, who spent a lot more time searching, so I'm very thankful for him. What else can I say? I'm very tired, should be in bed. There's a lot of hard enemies to beat. Am I ashamed to say I turned the difficulty down on some of those? No. Did one of them still take me over an hour to do? Yes. But yeah, really fun Platinum, 48 hours, only one playthrough. My hair's a mess. I'm going to go back to bed. Goodbye.
Thank you, Simon.
Hello. It's...
Whoa,
Yeah, VLC just loops the file. He brought up something interesting there. The difficulty thing. We take a write in from the one, the only, Michelle, who tweeted at me and said, when I said, are you going to platinum this game? They said, I mean, I want to, and I'm feeling very, ambitious for it. But if there's more Valkyrie equivalents in this, then that might be my limit, lol. Those were hard as nails. Blessing, in God of War 2018, did you take on the Valkyries? Did you complete that challenge?
I didn't complete the Valkyries, but I did fight a handful of them, and actually really did. I really enjoyed the challenge of the Valkyries, but that kind of came back to the thing of I don't feel like doing every single thing in this game, so I ended up not completing it. But yeah, if I'm trying to think if there's any equivalent, or if we should even reveal if there's any equivalent.
I'm going to reveal it.
Okay,
there
go for
are.
it.
Yes, there are equivalents to the Valkyries here.
Are you talking about? Well, actually, it's hard to tell me what your pitch
I don't
is.
feel like Barrett. Do you think this is a spoiler to say? Yeah,
It's a cool moment to discover for me personally, because it's all I'll say is you run into the first one kind of on the golden path. You don't have to do it, but it was one of those moments where the characters are like, oh, what's this? And I was also like, oh, what's this? And when it pops up, I feel like
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I'll say that there are you have a Valkyrie equivalent in this game.
Does it involve something popping out of another thing? Something
you put something into the other thing.
Okay, yes. Okay, then yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. When you get to the thing where you put the thing, things happen. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that thing is crazy.
No, and so I hear that from Michelle, and I've heard that over and over again, where so many people. You saw something move too, right?
Yeah, that was Barry. It was Barry.
Where so many people have talked to me in the past about the God of War 2018, oh my God, and that Valkyrie fight, those Valkyrie fights, that final Valkyrie fight, and I'm always like, yeah, I guess, again, and this is how you look at trophy hunting, I think, and I don't get me wrong, I have the trophies I can point to. And the original Uncharted Drake's Fortunes battles, I can talk to you about screaming into a pillow and punching the couch at 3 a.m. trying to get done, right? But again, Sony Santa Monica has designed in 2018 and this one a game that they want you to enjoy and enjoy thoroughly. And if that means walking away and not doing it, great. If it means doing everything, awesome. But it also means that if you want to be the headshotting, rootin' tootin' nitro rifle, where you are perfectly parrying, perfectly dodging, and then you get killed on the last hit by this incredibly hard boss, and you restart, you come in, you're like, let's go. They have that experience for you, right? But that's not what draws me to this game. I enjoy the combat. I love the combat of God of War. But and these things, the way I handle Valkyries and the way I'm handling the things in Ragnarok are, I go in and I'll fight them. And if I get to a point where I'm annoyed, I drop the story difficulty. I drop the difficulty of the story and I beat them and I move on with my life, because that's how I want to do it. For me, the rest of God of War, right, is so much not about the combat. I enjoy the combat and I like the combat and I think the combat's cool and looks really great. But again, why I connect so much with 2018 and Ragnarok are because they aren't like what the PS2 game was, and PS3 to that matter to a degree, right? Where it was about combos and killing things and let's really get this the combo hit meter up and do these really cool moves, and that's what it was all about. For me, it is that I walk into the room and what am I trying to do? All right, I'm going to pull this lever. I'm going to figure that out. There's a little bit of a puzzle. There's a little bit of a monster. I do all the things and I get the reward. That's the action adventure I want, not the action game it used to be. And so for these fights in particular, right, I have absolutely no shame. Simon brought it up. Michelle's talking about how hard they were. But, I love that we're at a point where some, not all, but some video game developers are like, hey, once we finish the game and give it to you, it's your game. how do you want to experience, right? And I think so much of that has been driven by accessibility, but also just what's the other one we have? Approachability, right? And I love the fact that it's like, yeah, if I needed to beat God of War Ragnarok on the hardest difficulty, not a chance would I platinum it. And not because I couldn't do it. I've played hard games before. I've beaten hard games before. I just wouldn't enjoy it. And that's the whole thing about Eye of the Beholder on what platinuming a game is to somebody or finishing a game is.
And I think that's kind of where it comes down to me too. Of I feel like if I played, let's say 15 more hours of God of War Ragnarok to try and platinum it, especially on the difficulty that I'm on right now.
Would you play it on?
Normal.
Okay.
And I think if I kept going, I'd probably end up resenting it just a little bit in terms of the combat. Because again, to your point, right? Like I enjoy the combat. I think the combat's great. But when I come to God of War Ragnarok, for me, I am coming mainly for the story. I'm coming for the narrative, and I do think that the combat that exists in God of War Ragnarok works in synergy with the story that they're telling and the type of game they're wanting to make. Especially when you're talking about the approachability aspect of it, they are not making Elden Ring, right? But they're also not making Devil May Cry. They're making God of War, which means that it is this combat system that is about, again, we go back to the idea of play with your food that they talk about in their pitch for their idea for what they want the combat to be. And it is, here's a Leviathan Axe, here's your Blades of Chaos, go crazy, right? Do your combos, juggle enemies, sidestep enemies. You're playing as Kratos. He's a heavier kind of character. Like, we have a vision for what we want this combat system to be, and I think the combat system works so well for what they want it to be. But it's also a combat system that I find myself playing so I can get more of the story, and so I can like get to that finish line of like, oh man, I beat the game, that was awesome. Now let me put this down. I feel like if it was for me, there are other games both easier and more difficult that I'd be more likely to go through the motions of like putting in 15 more hours of playing to then get to that finish line. Like in my review for Sonic Frontiers, for example, there's a part in there where I talk about how, yeah, I played this game for 20 hours and I could play this game for 20 hours more. And those are a response I got on Twitter from somebody that was like, hey, like, so what is it about Sonic that makes you want to go back to it and play more of it? Whereas on the God of War review, you said you're pretty much done with it. And I saw that and I sat down for a while.
Great question.
Because I was like, yeah, what is it about Sonic Frontiers that makes me want to go back to it? And yet, like, I don't feel like going back to God of War Ragnarok, right? And like, it's not a quality thing, right? Obviously,
of course
like when I responded to that person, I was like, hey, yeah, God of War.
Fuck you.
Hey, person, fuck you. No, they're very polite and nice about it. But I was like, yeah, no, like I would describe God of War as a more fleshed out, more complete, more overall refined experience than Sonic Frontiers. But I think it comes back to the thing of what is the gameplay loop giving to me that I prefer and that I want out of a video game. And then also like God of War 2018 going into God of War Ragnarok, I feel like I've gone through those motions, right?
Sure.
Like getting to the finish line, getting to that end, the final narrative moments of God of War Ragnarok, I had felt like my time had wrapped up in that. Whereas in Sonic Frontiers, right, like part of the gameplay loop that I fucking loved was losing myself in the getting every single collectible. Oh man, I'm discovering new platforms to go through. Oh man, I'm finding new challenges or whatever, right? Same with, if I pulled in Elden Ring or like a Sekiro into the conversation, for example, right? So much of that gameplay loop comes down to feeling satisfied with how punishing the combat was, right? And like wanting to push myself further and wanting to figure out how to break down this boss. And I think one day I probably will go back to Platinum Sekiro. I think that's the thing I'm actually going to do. But for God of War, so much of it is for me about the narrative that if I'm going to go back and play more God of War, I think it's going to be for the narrative, right? Like,
but
I
they're
think
still
those are the
giving
things
it to you too. That would be the thing where it's like, I feel like there are so many games that you roll credits and you go back and then it is just random ass shit that isn't going anywhere. Whereas this isn't going anywhere. Like, I'm going to get to like a fifth act or whatever, it's the fourth act, I guess.
Fourth act, yeah.
You know what I mean? I guess I'm in the fourth act though, right? Like this would be it doesn't matter. But like, there's still cool shit in there. And again, it is about the characters. Like I just want to spend more time with these people. Like, you know what I mean? Or these heads. Like just listening to Mimir, like still joke around and still tell stories and you know what I mean? Like, still give Kratos a hard time and get the backstory. Like, I love that. I love existing in that world, and I still love that, I need to get to this point on the map because I'm going for this side mission, or I know there's a collectible over here, or there's some rift to close or whatever. And as you go there, you get it, but then you see something off to the side. I'm like, wait, I never went there, and there's nothing on my map, so I go to investigate it, and sure as shit, it gives me something that's helping me overall in doing these things. Like, it's a weird trade-off where I do feel like the story is still going there. But since you don't think you're going to go back anytime soon, and you're doing the spoiler cast, remember everybody, special PS I Love You XOXO spoiler cast with the game director of God of War Ragnarok, Eric Williams, is recording next Monday, the 14th. However, you won't get it till the following Monday, the 21st. So power through God of War this weekend and get us any of your spoiler cast questions at kindafunny.com/PSILY. Since on Monday you're sitting down anyway, and you're going to hear me spoil stuff anyway. I wrote out the thing. Can I show you what
Yeah, go for it. Huh. Interesting.
Right?
Interesting.
Right?
Wow. Okay.
Barry, do you want me to send it to you? You're doing the spoiler cast, right?
Yeah. I'm capturing footage for the spoiler cast.
Yeah, so you're all set. Do I have to send it to, where do I send this now? Which one are you? Station?
Just for me to personally see?
Yeah.
Just flag it to me. I have my phone.
I would never
okay,
have guessed that.
And that, like, again, like, to be clear, I'm on just this side mission doing this thing, and it's not like they're like, hey, man, I bet something big is I think it's gonna be, there's an incredible thing about to happen, blah, blah. It's like there was like, oh man, this is a weird spot or place. I'm being very
cow.
Right? I'm being very vague about what it was.
And this is something that like you and I had like one of the morning car ride conversations all about this, and
it's what
like that's
holy
like
crap.
yeah, that's type of stuff that you would think they would tackle in the main story or in a sequel.
And it's like, and I think that, you know, when you roll credits, it is very much like I did not have this question.
Yeah,
I did not. I mean, we had talked about it in the car, but it was just like, oh, I get why this happened. I guess why this was said and that happened and yada yada yada, and that's the story. And you fucking
so
get it.
funny.
I was like, huh, didn't see that coming.
interesting.
So I'm having a great time with this.
That was God of War Ragnarok.
Shout out to God of War Ragnarok. Again, most people wrote in, they were like, yeah, I'm probably going to do this. I like this response from Bander SN. At this point, I'm assuming I will platinum any first-party PlayStation release I buy. They have streamlined the trophy experience, so the platinum trophy is going to happen just playing how I normally play. You play like a completionist, but I do agree that PlayStation has, first-party-wise, knocked it out of the park in terms of like, hey, y'all, this is what we figured it out. We have the sauce. This is what people want from most people want from a platinum trophy. If they want an achievable platinum trophy to get people to play your game longer and go further with it than it was before with like a Last of Us PlayStation 3 release where it was like, all right, now play factions. And you could, 14 days into everything, it could go away and then you could lose it all and never platinum it. And it's a bitch to get any of the trophies in the single player.
I think there is still a king though over at PlayStation of the platinum trophies, and that still is Insomniac. I think when it comes to getting a platinum trophy from a PlayStation first-party studio, they have figured it out the most. There's no reason in hell why I should have platinum Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I love that game, but I didn't love it enough compared to like God of War Returnal or like Last of Us Part 1 in terms of like where I put my PlayStation love.
Yeah.
I didn't like Ratchet more than those games, but I platinumed the hell out of Ratchet, right? And I think that kind of goes back to the original question, the PSN message of like games that feel good to control, right? Where like Spider-Man, of course, was my answer, and the answer that was given in the J Maz's write-in, right? Of, oh yeah, I just love like having my hands on the controller in this video game. That is enough to carry me toward the platinum. And I still this is a good reminder that I still got to go back and platinum Miles Morales.
Yeah, but you hate it.
I do hate it. I do hate that game. But no, I need to go back and platinum.
Put it on the other bar that we're doing.
Put it on. Yeah, put it on the bar. What is it now, Barrett? Greg wears a suit and tie.
Yeah.
I forgot.
We have you play through Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And there was another one too. Earthbound. We have you finish Earthbound. So we'll add it to that list.
Thank you. Appreciate
How did you not play Tropical Freeze?
I don't know. I didn't have a Wii U.
He never beat DK64 until we did it for Dongtober.
Let me tell you, that was a great time. That was a great
such
time.
a good time.
Yeah. But yeah, like Insomniac, I think know how to design a game around completing everything. And design a game around like doubling down on the fun it takes to complete everything in their games. Because again, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is another one where just having my hands on the controller in that game is fun in and of itself. And yeah, like, I mean, do you disagree? Would you put anybody else above Insomniac in terms of platinum design?
Oh man, see, it's funny. I platinum Ratchet 2, but I wouldn't put it on my list of like, man, they nailed this. And I say it because I don't think of my Ratchet platinum time as being crazy enjoyable. Like I did it, and it felt like I was platinuming 100%ing a PS2, PS3 Ratchet game, which I didn't do in a lot of them as when we replayed, right? Because there were some annoying things in there. Spider-Man definitely jumps off the page. Because, again, I loved being Spider-Man. I wanted to be in that world as long as possible, right? I didn't like, obviously, on remaster. Well, I guess that was DLC, so it didn't matter. I was going to say them putting the New Game Plus stuff in there, but it was they don't do new Insomniac. I know you're watching. Don't make sure your main trophy list for Spider-Man 2 does not include the New Game Plus the other playthrough. Yeah. In Miles, it was fine because Miles was like 4 hours, and then when you skipped all the cutscenes, it was super fast.
Yeah,
that was fine. I didn't mind that as much, but don't do that.
To bring it back to God of War, talking about
we're still talking about PlayStation though. The PlayStation Studios, right? They get it right.
Yeah.
Uncharted's on it, or Naughty Dog's on a tear right now. They've got it. Last of Us Platinum was Part 2 Platinum was great. Mm-hmm. Uncharted 4 I liked a lot.
I guess for me, it is with Naughty Dog. It's the fact that their games are chapter based, right? And like for my first playthrough through a game, I'm not trying to like keep an eye out for all the collectibles.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
I don't want to really do that until my second.
Well,
playthrough.
it just doesn't line up as well, right? Where I feel like I get you're crafting and collecting and stuff like that, but like it's always weird to be on these like, oh my god, this is happening, and why would I go off on the weird tangent down there? God of War does a great job of I'm already out there trying to find stuff to get more powerful to go kill the god.
Exactly. I think that's why I come back to Ratchet and Clank, where that game is pretty linear as well too, but the areas are explorable, and so they have collectibles in there that are easy to go back and get. Yeah. And so when I did my first playthrough, I was like, okay, dope. Now what do I have left? And it is, oh, cool. I can just go back to all these spots and just get the shit that I missed. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do.
I also like Sucker Punch. I think, I've always enjoyed getting an Infamous Platinum and going on. Not so much the First Light. No, Ghost I loved. Okay. First Light, remember they had all those challenge rooms, and you put a challenge room in, and I'm like, I don't.
I think the challenge rooms might have been what prevented me from getting the platinum.
Yeah, it's no fun. It's no fun. I like it. I like it to be like what we're talking about here, open world. Go back and have fun, and again, play your way. Barrett, what were you gonna say?
You and I were trying to figure this out. I think before embargo, Ragnarok doesn't have a New Game Plus, correct?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I still haven't gone back to turn it on.
Definitely not a trophy for it.
Yeah, no trophy for it for sure. Yeah, I don't think there is one out of the. I think I'll give you a check here.
Okay,
he's checking.
Ragnarok. And while I check, let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, patreon.com/kindafunny is where you can go to be a Patreon producer, to get this show ad-free, to get your name read on the show like a Patreon producer, to get cool exclusive merch, to get the 38 episodes of bonus content we put up each and every month. But guess what, Jack? You're not on patreon.com/kindafunny. So here's a word from our sponsor.
Shout out to Shady Rays for sponsoring this episode. Shady Rays has all the essentials you need to make summer complete. Shady Rays sunglasses offer an industry-best combination of fit, style, and performance without the big brand price tag. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they will send you a brand new pair. They also provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order and have donated over 20 million meals to date. Look good in your shades and feel good by making an impact. If you don't love them, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There is no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for y'all listening right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can go to shadyrays.com and use code KindaFunny for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. And there you go. Check it out. Shout out to Factor, a ready-to-eat meal delivery. They shop, prep, cook, and deliver to your door so you can just enjoy chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals during the holidays minus the hassle. Plus, with 34 meals per week, including Gourmet Plus, Keto, Calorie, Smart, Vegan Plus, Plus Veggie, and 36+ weekly add-ons, you'll have plenty of nutritious, flavorful options to choose from. Moving into the new studio has totally changed Gia and I's day-to-day routine, but luckily, Factor's fresh, never frozen meals make it easy for her to fuel up fast at home and save time with meals delivered ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. Factor has everything you need for a week of flavorful, nutritious eats. In addition to ready-to-eat meals, they have cold-pressed juices, smoothies, energy bites, extra protein, veggie sides, and more. Head to go.factor75.com/kindafunny60 and use code KindaFunny60 to get 60% off your first box. That's code KindaFunny60 at go.factor75.com/KindaFunny60 to get 60% off your first box. And shout out to MeUndies. The holidays are officially upon us, and it's time to start celebrating, like actually celebrating. It's your holiday too, so you should be able to relax and do what you love. If that means watching every single seasonally themed rom-com, so be it. Live your life, do your thing. It's the most wonderful time of the year to try MeUndies because they're currently offering a very merry deal. You can get 20% off your first purchase with free standard shipping and free returns when you go to MeUndies.com/kindafunny. Y'all already know how much I love MeUndies. Even right now, now, I'm wearing MeUndies socks, I'm wearing MeUndies undies, and this very t-shirt is made of the same soft, beautifully soft micromodal fabric that MeUndies is famous for. Their undies, loungewear, and sleepwear are made out of the softest, most supple fabric you have ever felt, and that is a fact. They're available in sizes extra small all the way up through 4XL. MeUndies has what you need to make all your favorite people smile this holiday season, all in one convenient place. Feel free to start thinking about yourself now. You can get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee by going to MeUndies.com/kindafunny. That's MeUndies.com/kindafunny.
Here we go. New Game Plus. God of War. Hey, I'm going to rocat.com. Sorry,
That
never.
sounds reputable.
You know what I mean? However, God of War Ragnarok, there does not appear to be New Game Plus mode. I think always not a noodle scratcher, but that'll come. They'll patch that in. There's always those.
Yeah,
those
that
patches.
sounds like something that'll come like in February. or
But
something.
I also wonder if that's something where they might have looked at the, their back end numbers for
Return on
2018
investment,
and was not a lot of people were doing the New Game Plus, or, there's like a lot of people maybe giving feedback like yourself, Greg, when you did the replay on New Game Plus and you're like, you didn't feel engaged. You felt like you were cutting through that game like butter and stuff like that. So that might have been something on their end where they're like, it might just not be worth it.
Did this is going to be work for the chat, I guess, or maybe you probably remember. Did 2018 have New Game Plus at launch?
No, I think I patched in later.
Because New Game Plus seems like one of those things that you can patch in later and everybody's fine with it. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, do you need New Game Plus at launch? Like, I think generally we're good without it. And I feel like I've seen that update specifically in PlayStation games multiple times where it is, all right, cool, it's the new state of play, and this game from 3 months ago has New Game Plus now. I feel like that's been happening quite a bit.
So God of War came out April 20th, Blaze It 2018. It seems the new update on August 20th, 2018, players had New Game Plus available to them. So, yeah.
A few
like
months
5
later.
months later, yeah.
4 months, 5 months. There you go.
All right.
We solved it.
Blessing, what's happening this week in PlayStation?
Greg, I want to ask the question, what PlayStation IPs do we want other studios to work on?
Ooh-wee!
This week, it was reported that Sony might be partnering with NCSoft to make a Horizon MMORPG. This is Tom Ivan at Video Games Chronicle. Sony and NCSoft have reportedly struck a deal to create a Horizon MMORPG. According to news site MTN, the project will be developed by the South Korean company behind the Lineage and Guild Wars MMO series and target the global market as part of Sony's push into live service games. Of course, this seems to be possibly the multiplayer game we've been talking about for a while from Guerrilla, right? The one that we've been like theorizing could be Monster Hunter, like it being an MMO from the Guild Wars team. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Yeah. I can't fucking wait. We talked about this on Games Daily, but to rehash, like, I know the talent of NCSoft. I know how much people loved Guild Wars 2. I know how incredible all that was. It just was a PC thing. Never really clicked for me, that fantasy environment, yada, yada, yada. If you're to drop a awesome MMO into the Horizon world, like we are, and it is the action we know and love, but it's Monster Hunter, but it's also this, and it's like, I'm so in for that. That sounds awesome. That sounds way more exciting to me, like I said, than co-op Horizon.
And I do like it just for the, hey, we're PlayStation, what are the different things we can do with our different IPs, right? Not everything needs to be a Ghost of Tsushima Legends type of game or a Last of Us Factions type game. Let's explore different genres.
Or a Gotham Knights Horizon, right?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different genres you can tackle with your IP. That'll create vibrance for your catalog. Hey, we're PlayStation, and not only do we have the single player premium first party third person action game, but we also have the a first person shooter from Deviation. We also have whatever the fuck Haven Studios is working on. We also have a car combat game. We also have Horizon MMO, and like the list goes on in terms of the different genres you can tout as PlayStation and different places where you can experiment with.
It also
like,
gives you,
genre.
as a company trying to get people in the door, right? It gives them different entry points.
Yeah.
Where it is, if like, okay, cool, you don't want to, it's that thing where you don't play a lot of games. There are people who play MMOs and only play MMOs, right?
100%.
And so it is that idea that, okay, cool, the Horizon show drops, it's awesome, people love it. Yeah, they're going to go buy PlayStation 5 and apparently the remake of Horizon Zero Dawn, and then also Forbidden West. And then if they don't like those, if they don't want to invest in that, they already have a PC and they like doing that. What about this Horizon MMO that is similar but different? It is the same idea, it is the same world, however, controls different, looks different, and it is you playing with your friends, right? And then if it was the other thing of like, I couldn't sell my best friend Poe on playing Horizon. Maybe I could sell him on playing this with me, right? Come play with me.
Yeah, and I like the idea of speaking to people who might be into Guild Wars or might be into World of Warcraft or plenty of other MMOs out there that are like, yeah, this is my genre, this is what I play.
And also,
PlayStation got one of those? Sure, let me check it out.
It's that thing where MMOs sound so dated, I think, when you talk about them, because you do jump to a Guild Wars or probably a WoW, a World of Warcraft, right? But I know I'm playing fast and loose, but they have changed their tune lately, Bungie, right? When they got out from underneath Activision and everything else, of like, Destiny is an MMO shooter. So, like, what could the PlayStation Horizon MMO look like? I'm not expecting it to look like I am sitting there and it's tap X and Aloy does this crazy attack, or whoever, my warrior does this crazy attack forever, and I sit there holding the controller. I would expect it to be very similar to what we do in Horizon actively. I'm playing that, and I'm playing with other people. And it is that I'm going off, and maybe the parties are only 3 people to go off and go do something, and then a raid is 6 people or whatever. You play with that. You take the learnings of Ghost of Tsushima Legends, right, and you apply them to this and put them into a narrative backbone that isn't the whole spiritual stories or whatever.
So, talking about PlayStation's live service pursuit, right? Talking about the at least 12 live service games that they're working on over the course of the next 3 years or a few years that they want to put out, right? We talked about a Horizon MMO, which seems like a shift for the franchise, something that's different, something that we didn't necessarily expect, but sounds like it could be cool for Horizon.
Sure.
I want to talk about some of Sony's other IPs, right? That maybe they might be working on multiplayer for, or it could be cool for multiplayer that we would like to see other studios outside of PlayStation work on. And the one that I want to bring up, the idea that I have that I want to bring up, we've been playing a lot of Marvel Snap around here at KindaFunny. And
put it on PlayStation already. Where is it at?
Where's
PSP?
it on PlayStation? Well, what if PlayStation just did it themselves? What if they approached a studio like Megacrit, who does Slay the Spire, a very popular card game, I was going to say a card game roguelite that people absolutely love, and did a PlayStation game that was similar to Marvel Snap, whether it be roguelite or whether it be multiplayer. I think either one could be really fun with that. But I think that'd be fun, right? If it is, hey, I got Aloy, and Aloy does, if we're going by Marvel Snap rules, Aloy does damage to all 3 of the enemy areas because she has long range, she has area of effect type stuff. I think having something in those lines could be pretty fun, and maybe taking it a step further, that could also work with PlayStation's mobile pursuit, because they are pursuing mobile games as well over
Blessing, let me tell you about a little game called Uncharted Fight for Fortune.
Oh, God.
All right? We got a card game. We're ready to roll. Sony Ben made it for you already. It's ready to play on your PlayStation Vita right now.
Was that online, or was that like single player?
It was online.
Was it online? Those servers are
Was it online? Shit, fuck.
Did you play Fight for Fortune, Greg?
I mean, I demoed Fight for Fortune for sure. Did I play
anybody play Fight for Fortune?
Here you go. And then, in addition to the single-player mode against set antagonists taken from the series, players can engage each other in online asynchronous multiplayer.
Asynchronous. Okay, so it's
There you go.
what is that?
Here you go. Look at it here. Here we go. Expand Uncharted Golden Abyss with a brand new card game.
Oh, shit.
Now we fuck around and like this might actually kill right now.
Yeah, honestly, like Barrett showing the footage, I look at this and I'm like, oh, this looks kind of fun.
Yeah, just do this, but with all the PlayStation-owned IP, like...
Yeah.
So PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale card game.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%. Or double down and do another Uncharted Fight for Fortune.
Here's the thing. When you try to do a Smash Bros-like game, like, you're never going to feel like Smash Bros. You don't really need to do anything to make it feel like a card game, you know? You just got to make sure
Here's what I want to posit. And actually, can you go back and show it again? Because I want to see what the cards are in Uncharted Fight for Fortune. I assume the different cards are different characters in Uncharted.
That is correct.
And if that is the case, what I want to posit is, does Uncharted have a strong enough cast for a card game? Because I would say no. I like the main cast.
Yeah.
But they got Roberto Guerrero here, man.
Oh, everybody's favorite character.
Yeah, dude.
This is what I want to posit. God of War Ragnarok has a lot of characters. A lot of characters that we really like. A lot of characters that we really love. Would a God of War Fight for Fortune work in 2022?
No. Because everything you're doing there is we're getting so fucking nerdy, right? You're driving so deep down into it, where your idea is the best idea so far, and that's to do All-Stars, to do a PlayStation collectible card game that is you have a Ratchet and Clank, and you know when you play it on fucking the Nexus, this happens, and yada yada. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
of course. Like,
that's
right.
a good point.
And because this
Thank
would
you. I
also
tried. I was
answer...
like, that's the thing in the Snap too. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not confusing. Fight into the Nexus here.
And this could also answer the big questions that we've always brought up on the show of like who wins in a fight, Ratchet and Kratos and stuff like that. How much prep time do they have? What equipment do they have?
That's a
and
really
stuff
good
like
point. That's a really good call. What's Jin Sakai's card ability?
Oh well, it's that thing where are we? As you know,
I think we're going Marvel Snap rules.
Okay, I was gonna say because as you know, I love Marvel Snap. I'm all in on Marvel Snap, and it's the first card game I've done. So I need to like if I'm envisioning just Marvel Snap and we have the things, then it's like I would say you're going between Samurai and Ghost, right? And so it is this thing of like I don't know if we're getting way too deep into it, but if maybe the cards, every character has either a light or dark designation, right? So like Uncharted or Drake's a light person, and then a bad guy. I'm hung up now. Fuck, hold on. The Ratchet bad guy, Dr. Nefarious. Dr. Nefarious is a dark character, right, or a dark thing, right?
Yeah.
And so then it would be that if you play a Jin Sakai, you can use against a dark character, then you can use dark or light, and it's this thing, or you get a plus. There's a pro for using it one way or the other. You see what I'm doing here? You understand?
I see what you're doing. I'm just typing in. Is Dr. Nefarious?
Yeah, Dr. Nefarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I get confused. Because aren't there 2 Dr. Nefariouses? I feel like this is a conversation I had with Tim recently.
No, one's still not a doctor officially.
There's a Dr. Nefarious, I think in Crash also.
Yeah. Well, there's Dr. Entropy.
Entropy, and his first name is Nefarious.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yes, his name is Nefarious Tropy. Video games are stupid, man.
God, how ridiculous is it of like Fight for Fortune existed? That's something that happened. That is a game that came out.
It's a different time.
I mean, like, and it's one of those things I remember being like, what is this? All right, fine. And like asynchronous multiplayer, all right, right there. That's kind of the weird thing. But again, maybe ahead of its time. Was it ahead of its time?
Just like the
'cause
PlayStation Vita?
If you put out
100%.
Uncharted Fight for Fortune today, even put it on mobile, no, it's not. I don't think that's a successful video game. Just because I think it's the thing you're talking about with like we're getting too nerdy with this. I think if it was something that had more characters that were recognizable, or if it is PlayStation Snap, I think that right there is fire. I think that
sure.
would for sure be hot. But what's your idea?
Well, first off, windowing in my mind, I guarantee the first thing I'm doing when I get home is charging my Vita and trying to take a photo of this thing and be fuck Marvel Snap, and it's just Uncharted Fight for Fortune if it's still available. If I even ever redeemed it the first time around, I don't know.
You'd have to like redeem stuff in your wallet to be able to put it on your Vita. To be able to,
that would be a whole different ball of wax.
Process.
Tim Geddes, tell me about Uncharted Fight for Fortune. Were you into this card game?
Oh, I was not. I just heard Marvel Snap, and I felt summoned. I had to come in. But
Bless, pitch your game.
So we're talking about games that we want to take PlayStation IP, give it to other developers. I'm talking about giving just the PlayStation catalog to Megacrit, who developed Slay the Spire, to make a PlayStation-style Marvel Snap game. Right? A good cast of characters, all the characters that have cool different abilities. Greg's talking about giving Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima an ability where he can go Ghost or go Samurai. Has different effects on dark and light characters. I stopped listening at one point.
I love it. I say give it to ByteDance, though. Just give it to the Marvel Snap team.
I mean, that'd be great, too. That'd be awesome, actually.
Let's go.
They're busy.
Yeah, they're busy making
All
Marvel
they need
Snap.
to do is just bring Marvel Snap to PlayStation. It's simple. That's what we
Tim,
want.
what's your pitch for a character for PlayStation Snap? Character and ability.
A deep cut, too. Give me a deep cut.
You want a deep cut? I'm going to give... Oh, man, I'm blanking, y'all. I ain't giving
This
you
is a lot to
anything
throw
today.
at you.
It
This
is a lot.
to
It's
throw
because
at
I
you.
want to get it right.
You want to hear mine? I can give you my pitch.
Yeah.
My pitch I wrote in here is this. We go to the one, the only, Oi Governor, Mike Bithell, of course, who made a little game called Volume, which was a Metal Gear throwback stealthy game, and we give him Sly Cooper. And we say, hey, make a small downloadable Sly Cooper where all we do is sneak around and thieve.
That's good. A Sly Cooper snap card, though, could be you steal the power of your opponent.
I just noticed that Tim passed away, and we're remembering him right now.
Can you make him black and white, Barry? Let's work on that filter. Make him black and white for the remembrance.
Yeah.
What? I feel like every time I remember now, Remember Me is what comes to mind. The video game from Don't Nod from like 2011 or something.
The one nobody remembers.
Nobody remembers Remember Me.
When you say Remember Me, I think of the Metroid Other M trailer. That was like one of the weird trailers we always made fun of at IGN, where the dude just shows up and his little visor goes, Remember Me?
Oh, see, I always think of the song.
Remember Me.
Yeah. Greg?
Yeah.
It's free to play the right move for PlayStation's live services.
Yes.
I asked this question because it was reported that a Fortnite veteran has moved to Naughty Dog as a principal monetization designer. This is Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming. Fortnite's senior system designer, Anders Howard, has moved to Naughty Dog as a principal monetization designer, according to his LinkedIn profile. This move comes after 7.5 years at Epic, followed by a brief 10-month stint at Ubisoft Stockholm. Howard was responsible to help, quote, form the core of Battle Pass regression strategy, delivering overwhelming value for that product to as many players as possible, his LinkedIn reads. Howard's move comes as Naughty Dog continues its development of a new multiplayer-based project in the Last of Us universe. Previous job listings have suggested that the game will be a free-to-play experience. Under the summary for a live ops producer, it says that Naughty Dog is looking for a, quote, proven experience in a production role, supporting a AAA free-to-play live title, end quote, under the bonus skills section. Howard's hiring...
Bonus skills.
Howard's hiring could suggest that the team is leaning towards a battle pass system in seasons, which has become commonplace among games in the last several years, mostly in part to Fortnite, the place that Howard's from.
Hey, I know that.
Hey, we know that. You said yes, that free-to-play is the right move for PlayStation's live services.
At least for factions, I think for sure. I got to listen to you and Tim talk about this on Games Daily on the drive-in, and I also, on the drive-in, when you guys ended that story, I made a Greg way about it, where I responded a bit to it, where I think, as somebody who... We've lived through these cycles and done all these things, and I feel like right now when you come to talking about battle passes and free-to-play, and I'm not going deep into the mobile market because that's way outside of my wheelhouse, but at least on PlayStation, on console, right, it seems like the good wins out. Like, I think Fortnite as a free-to-play game, Fortnite as a game is fantastic. Fortnite being free-to-play is insane.
Yeah.
And be available everywhere and cross-play and all these different things and everything Epic's done with that is just outrageously insane and awesome and incredible. And, I fall into Fortnite every so often, usually like once every year and a half, 2 years, really get into Fortnite. It's usually because there's a great theme, there's a great battle pass, there's something I'm striving to get. I love having those rewards. I also love the fact that if, Kevin and Joey were doing a stream and they wanted me to jump on and play Fortnite right now, I would, and I probably wouldn't be motivated by the battle pass, and I would play and have fun and leave and never feel like I needed to put money into it, right? It's the same thing with Marvel Snap, where right now I am legitimately so in love with Marvel Snap, like just like Tim, where it was that, the first time around I booted it up, played a couple games, like, this is cool. Do you want to spend $2.99 on the Captain America pack? Yeah, you know what I do? I do love Cap. Got that, felt like I was rewarded with it. Do I want to buy the Miles Morales Spider-Man Battle Pass? No, these cards don't look like something I would use. However, jump cut a week later when there's like a day or two left in the season, and I was like, man, I've actually already unlocked all the stuff through and I'm getting the caches now. And I went through and did the math of, if I did spend the $10 on it, I would get this many credits and this much gold. And I was like, oh, you know what? That actually equates out to be $10 or more. I was like, why not then? I've enjoyed my time, bought it, used the gold to upgrade my collection, yada, yada, yada. And then, we're at Wakanda Forever screening. The new pass drops. It's Wakanda themed. I looked at it. I'm like, oh, this is actually cool. Bought that one too. So I'm $23 in on Marvel Snap, right? And I don't feel like I look at it and go, oh man, why'd I do this? Because I do feel that way with Fortnite. Not the Battle Pass section of it, but a lot of the costumes I've bought. I have Ghostbusters and Harley Quinn and Venom and the list goes on. And when I play Venom, when I play Fortnite, I am Captain America and occasionally a Ghostbuster. You know what I mean? Like, I've bought so many suits, done the Superman one and everything else, which I had to earn, but I think was part of the Battle Pass. I digress. Like, there I look at them, I'm like, oh man, why'd I do that? The $23 I've spent in Marvel Snap, I'm like, I've gotten way more than $23 out of this game. I enjoy the thrill and dopamine hit of, leveling up and getting it unlocked. So a long-winded answer to your question of like, yeah, this sounds dope as hell that I would have The Last of Us. If it's free to play, think about how good Last of Us Part 2 feels to play. To give that away for free in some regard, I'm sure it wouldn't be as detailed, as in-depth, right? But to give that away and have that experience, have PlayStation, who has said over and over again they are focused on live operations, right? They are focused as games as services. This is their future. To bring in, arguably, right now, their biggest franchise. You know what I mean? Yeah. Last of Us Part 1, Part 2, an HBO show that looks like it's going to be fucking insane. To give that away and probably say you need PlayStation Plus to play it online. Maybe you don't, though. Maybe you don't, because this is something you were talking about in the show earlier today that I appreciated and didn't agree with you on. But like, hey, so this would be my pitch for what it was. Hey, Last of Us Factions 2 is here. It's free to play. You jump in, you do the thing, you're earning your free side of the battle pass. There is a part you buy for your battle pass that gives you more cosmetics, more currency to do whatever, but not pay to win. It's all done the right way. Back to the hiring of this gentleman, right? It is the idea of like, hey, this needs to be designed so it's fun to do. It doesn't break the experience. It encourages you to do it. I would also put then, you were saying on your thing, right? How do you leverage PlayStation Plus into this? How do you make a reward or a value add there? And I think one of the things you were talking about was making PlayStation Plus unlock the paid battle pass, right? I would go the opposite, or not the opposite, but piggyback off of it to what we see in Marvel Snap and in Fortnite, where I think you would have it be, here's the free battle pass side, and this is if PlayStation can throw their weight around with Naughty Dog and everything else. Here's the free side of the battle pass. Then you pay the $10 for the battle pass side, and if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, yes, you're occasionally going to get drops where we give you a new shirt, a new hat, a new whatever, but you're also going to get the first 10 levels of the battle pass for free. I think that makes sense. Thing. I think that's the way you do it. You could also sell it for $14 like they do in Fortnite, like they do in Marvel. But if you have PlayStation Plus, guess what? You get those first 10 levels for free. And I think that's the way you incentivize to also be a PlayStation Plus subscriber without maybe locking it out of the multiplayer side of it.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And like to go back to the original question of is free to play the right move? I think 100%, yeah. And like I think some form of free to play is the right move, right? Whether it is totally free to play with the added benefits that we're talking about with the Battle Pass and maybe PS Plus benefits, or if it is a PS Plus thing, I don't know. But like I think right now, for where we're at with multiplayer games, period, premium $60, $70 releases seem like the kiss of death for the most part, right? Like right now, if I go through the Rolodex of multiplayer games that are out there killing it, it is really tough to think about a premium game that is out there being successful. I think the one I can think of immediately is Call of Duty, and even that has a free-to-play version when it comes to Call of Duty Warzone. But then you go through the list, and it is, all right, Overwatch 2, that came out free to play. Fall Guys, that turned into free to play, right?
Kind of was free to play with PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
right?
Even had an incentive to get people in at a wide volume that was like, okay, cool, I have PS Plus, I can get in this, right? But then even like a lot of the games that we even play that were not even at that high level of multiplayer, right? Even the games that weren't the Fortnites or the Apexes or the Warzones of the world, talking about Knockout City, even that went free to play, right? And seemingly that was probably a good move for that game as well.
Again, look at the PlayStation-owned Bungie and Destiny 2 going free to play. Like
exactly,
these games live and die by having a player base, right? And to go the opposite way, right? Of like, we were all like, wait, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed isn't on PlayStation Plus, it isn't on Xbox Game Pass, it's just a $40 game to buy and play with your friends. Like, oh, that's quaint, that's interesting. What does that do to the player base? Eventually that game will be on one of those because they'll need to jump in player bases, right? And that's what I think, again, you want right now if you're PlayStation and you really want to fire on all cylinders and use your IPs properly, right? Hey, we have the hit Last of Us HBO show. It's got all these awards. It's amazing. Everybody loves it. You can go and buy the PlayStation 5 and you can get these two games and stuff. And that's a big investment. Sure. You could also play for free this game that is Last of Us multiplayer. That is, hey, it's on PlayStation 5, but it's also, they've talked about it in, vague terms and somewhat of like trying to launch on both. Yeah. It also is on PC. So you could download it for free on PC and play it there too. And I think that for this game might be a bridge too far for a launch item, but it is a thing of, you love Last of Us? Cool. PlayStation 5 is available. It's got these two games that you can get for it, and it's also got this free game that you can get and go live in the world like you're in The Walking Dead.
And like a game that for on the PlayStation side, right, is going to make the money when you're talking about the battle passes and you're talking about the monetization and you're talking about them hiring somebody who used to work at Fortnite, right, to come and help out with their monetization. That's a big investment, and also that's an investment that I think they need to make, an investment that's going to be good for them in the long run, right? Sure. If it is, hey, this is Last of Us, we want to make sure we're treating it right. We want to make sure that our battle pass is on par with Fortnite's, right? Or our battle pass is like that level of quality, that we have an understanding of what our audience is going to want out of this thing. I'm so curious and still very excited to see what Last of Us Factions is, along with a lot of what PlayStation's multiplayer offerings are going to be. But we're going to talk about that as all those headlines come. For now, though, we have one more PlayStation update for you. PlayStation Plus Extra November lineup has been revealed. This November, which is the month we're in right now, Greg, we're getting Skyrim Special Edition, Rainbow Six Siege, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 plus 2.8 plus 3 plus Melody, Oddworld Soulstorm, Division 2, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Chorus, What Remains of Edith Finch, Gardens Between, EDF World Brothers plus Iron Rain, and One-Chanbara Origin. One Chanbara.
A shout out to all of
Origin.
our kind of feudy viewers.
I can't get away from this game.
Yeah, this is 3.5 days in a row. Blessed that this is brought into your life. Greg, we had a very long conversation how to properly pronounce it today.
Oni
on Game Tech.
Chambara. You know, Oni Chambara.
One
One.
One.
It's One, not Oni.
Oni Chambara.
One Chanbara. It's time for PlayStation picks. This is where we talk about what's coming out this week and the one thing each of us have been playing. This week, the drop looks like this. Return to Monkey Island, PS5. Sonic Frontiers, PS5, PS4. God of War Ragnarok, PS5, PS4. Boy. Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, PS5, PS4. And Tactics Ogre Reborn,
Totally
PS5,
forgot this is coming out this week.
PS4.
Tactics Ogre.
Same here. Do we know anybody that's going to play it?
I want to try it. Like I remember
yeah.
back in the day with that being a big hit or whatever. But
This
I
is
played
the
for a little bit, enjoying.
remaster, right? A remake? Or is it a new entry? I don't know much about Tactics Ogre. I'm not a Tactics Ogre person.
You
I'm
missed out, man.
on the Square Enix website. Let's see. Tactics Ogre Reborn. Tactics Ogre, crown jewel of the tactical role-playing genre, is reborn. About the game, the Valerian Isles, jewels of the Obero Sea, longest center of naval commerce. The of the Isles struggled throughout history for dominion over her shores. Okay, this is is it a remake? Just tell me if it's a remake. That's all I want to know.
I just remember Tactics Ogre let us cling together on PSP, and that's when I was like, I remember taking a demo for that and really enjoying it, and I forget why I never played it. Or I played a little bit of it and stopped. It got, whatever. That's a lifetime ago, right? 2010. Yeah, I don't remember what I did.
Based on the 2010 release. There we go. Thank you.
So there you go. See, this is my second chance at it.
Hell yeah.
Well, I guess February 2011 in America, but you know what I mean.
Craig?
Yeah.
What'd you pick to play on PlayStation this week?
Like I said, God of War has been the platinum. I want to get as much as I can into me before we do the spoiler cast next week. KindaFunny.com/PSILY with your spoiler cast questions for Eric. So it's really just been that. I did download Tactics Ogre today. I haven't played it yet. And then I'm waiting on this other review code that's supposed to come today. So I doubt I'll even start Tactics Ogre anytime soon.
Cool.
What about you?
Sonic Frontiers.
yeah.
Of course, we reviewed that. That's on the Kind of Funny Games cast. I really, really enjoyed that game. Game has quite a few issues, quite a few things where it's like, oh man, I wish this would have been ironed out. I still stand by.
Jiminy Jillikers, I wish it wasn't like this.
Yeah, oh golly gee, I wish this game came out a little bit more polished. But it's a game I still have a lot of fun with, and it's also fun looking online and saying that a lot of Sonic fans are having a blast with this game. A lot of people are saying that this is like one of the best 3D Sonics ever, and yeah, that warms my heart because I was like playing it, I was like, I'm having so much fun with this. There's so many obvious issues, and I hope I'm not on an island by myself where I'm like, guys, I had fun with this game, but hear me out. It seems like a lot of people are actually like, above and beyond, like, oh man, this is a really fun time, and so it's nice to have my brothers and sisters and everybody in arms out there that we can hold hands.
The
and go.
Sonic Army
The
is
Sonic
still out
Army.
there.
We're strong. We're many. We're plentiful. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers has been fun. And then review games that aren't on PlayStation. I started playing A Little to the Left.
Ah, yeah.
Actually, is that on PlayStation?
No.
No,
PC
okay.
and a Switch.
Make that a PSP.
PSP.
Port software
something to PlayStation.
That game's pretty cool. That game's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Very laid back. It's very much like a chill. Oh, man,
This is
God.
the ultimate Sonic. Everybody remembers this moment.
I thought he was bringing up.
This is what you were playing, right?
No, this is not what I was playing. I thought you were bringing up A Little to the
if
Left.
you're an
I got
audio
excited.
listener, Sonic is kissing a woman.
No, I was trying to bring it up more.
This is Sonic 06.
It just took me a while to find this scene.
I've actually never played Sonic 06. Did
Really?
kissing the woman turn him into Super Sonic in the game?
Yes.
Is that what turned him
He
into
died,
Super
and
Sonic?
then she kissed him, and he turned into Super Sonic.
Fucking Shadow in the background with his arms crossed.
But as we see here, it kind of looks like is like a Rey Kylo Ren situation where she gave her life force energy to make him Super Sonic.
Bring back Silver the Hedgehog. That motherfucker looked cool. Anyway, Little to the Left, cool little game. It's like a chill, cozy type game where you're adjusting things.
Yeah.
Like
It's a little puzzler that gives you stars, right, on how
Yeah.
quick you do the puzzle part.
and
of
each
it.
different puzzle is essentially like, hey, adjust this bookshelf so that they're
The cat knocked this down.
Yeah,
Do
like
this.
from tallest to smallest, or like, yeah, the cat knocked the thing down, put it back. Like it's those kind of puzzles back to back, and it's like it reminds me a bit of almost like WarioWare style like micro games, except more laid back, right? It's not as hectic as WarioWare. It's very much like, no, we want you to chill while playing this thing, and I appreciate it, Greg. I
Okay,
appreciate
good.
it.
I'm looking forward to starting it. It's on my deck, but yeah, if I'm not playing God of War, I'm playing Marvel Snap. PSP, Marvel Snap. Come on, get Marvel Snap.
Do you need that on PlayStation?
I'd love it on PlayStation. Wouldn't you? Get trophies? Get trophies
I think
playing
the
Marvel
trophies would be
Snap?
cool,
You don't
yeah.
think that'd be fun? You don't think that'd be
Is
great?
that the kind of game you want to be sat down at your desk for to be playing?
I mean, it's on Steam.
Oh,
hit the port button to PlayStation. It's done. It isn't hard to make
Yeah,
games.
that's true. That's all you have to do.
Heard it here first.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You XOXO. Remember, each and every Friday, we come to you with all the nerdy PlayStation news you need to know about. If you want to be part of the show, go to kindafunny.com/PSILY, where you this weekend can beat God of War Ragnarok and get your spoiler questions in for Eric, the game director, who will be joining us on Monday for an embargoed special spoiler cast that you'll get on Monday the 21st on your PS I Love You feeds and all that jazz, blah, 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 blah. However, of course, right in next week, we'll be doing this. Janet will be back. We'll hear all about Buffalo and the wings she had out there. I'm excited about that. Look at her photo, see what she's been up to. If you want to be part of the show, even beyond that, patreon.com/kindafunny, where, of course, you can be a producer. You can get the 38 episodes of exclusive content we put up, like Remember Blank, where today we're remembering what blessing?
Portal.
And of course, you could also get Greg Way each and every day and a million other things. Like the Next Gen podcast, they had a great episode. It was really fun. Barrett got really drunk. Not on the podcast, but he told a story about it from Halloween. However, no bucks is tossed our way. It's no big deal. Maybe you don't want the show ad-free. You want to hear about the sponsors. YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames and podcast services around the globe each and every week. For now, we have to go. But until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.